What's up? Finally someone's in here, so if you're catching this on the replay, it's going to be really boring for a minute. Uh, yeah, it's always weird. Struggle to do these things. So first off, hopefully I didn't screw this up. I'm thinking, hopefully the chat is enabled whenever I do these mobiles. It's always hard, seems like. And I have been known in the past to not do that. It looks like it should be working though, I would think. There we go. Okay. All right. Hey, Johnny. Hey, thanks for dropping in. No need to apologize. Look, I don't really even watch that much YouTube myself anymore. Actually, recently, I guess I've kind of gotten back into it a little bit, but not like 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. Then Rich GT 350R is in the house, so welcome as well. But yeah, no. Okay, so this year, 2024, I've been trying to do an upload on the 8th of the month and the 23rd of the month. No ifs, ands, or buts. And man, work's been so crazy lately that this is really on the back burner. But it's the 8th, so I still wanted to get some content out on my channel in some capacity. Wanted that to be a thing, so that's what we're doing here. Okay. Yeah, the hand-operated radio stuff, that's nerding. Okay, that makes more sense now. No, that's cool, Johnny. It's good to hear from you for sure. Honestly, without getting into too much detail, in the back of my mind, I've been really considering like a WJ Grand Cherokee as maybe a cheap, reliable daily driver. So it made me think of you. And I think you had a ZJ, though, if I remember right. But yeah, so yesterday actually I thought my my problem of getting content out on the 8th and not having anything, I thought that answer was gonna come, or that prayer was gonna be answered, or God was dropping something in my lap. I thought I was going to be selling the Grand Prix yesterday. Actually, on Friday I got a good how many push-ups can I do, Matt? Good question. Let's just go figure that out. No, just kidding. No, but on Friday, I got someone reached out on Facebook Marketplace about the Grand Prix. And, they checked all the boxes that I usually am looking for. Someone who gives me confidence that they have money. Good, like grammar skills, like complete sentences, like just good, effective communication. Okay. Sucks, Johnny. Well, you got rid of your Cherokee. But yeah, I ideally I'd want a 4-liter inline 6, just with the whole Str8sixfan thing. But so anyway, Friday we're exchanging messages back and forth. But I had a busy weekend too. I had a family wedding, and so family was in town Friday and yesterday, and they just left today. And so you want to spend time with family when they come to your backyard. So I was doing all that stuff, and I'm exchanging messages with this guy on Friday, and like one of the first things he leads off with was, "Would you mind meeting me at my bank to do the transaction?" And I can relate to that because I've sold 1, maybe 2 cars that exact way. Is someone doesn't want to like carry around piles of cash with them, so they just want to be at a bank so they can take it out, give it to me, and so on and so forth. So that's where that conversation started. Was asking good questions. Wanted to know if there's any other videos or pictures I could share with them. So I told them about my YouTube channel. They checked out a few videos and they were even more pumped and all this stuff. And so then yesterday morning, coordinating with them, exchanging messages back and forth, and the conversation starts to get a little weird. One of the first things he says, like, well, I actually don't have a car. I need to coordinate a ride. And I'm thinking, like, not that that's a big deal. Like, it's really not. But just the way our conversation went on Friday, what it told me is like, oh, so you clearly had no plan for, even though you said you were, like we said we were going to meet at 9 a.m. Friday evening, and then Saturday morning he's still scrambling to like find a ride. So that was like the first kind of like, made me cock my eyebrow. What's up, Gary? And then so he wants me to meet at this bank, and like based on the name, and we're close to a military town. Based on the name, it was one of the Navy Federal Credit Unions, and he said the town. So it was pretty clear where that was going to be, which one that was. But still, it's a bit of a hike for me. And so if I'm going to drive 30 minutes to meet somebody that I've never met before, like I want to just be sure that I'm going to the right place, right? So luckily I wasn't quite halfway there, and I asked him to confirm the address, and it's like I'm driving and I like that's a yes or no question, and I just keep looking down at my phone, and I see the little like three dots that are doing that dancing move, knowing that he's typing something out, and I'm like, what? Why is this such a hard question to answer? Driving, still typing, driving, still typing. And then he gets this big long message that says something to the effect of, "Hey, I'm so sorry, my bank won't lend me money for this car." And I'm like, oh gosh, this guy thought that like any bank was gonna lend you money for a 45-year-old car that's not like a collector's car. So no, I did not sell the Grand Prix yesterday. It is still to my left. So anyway, I'm sure we all have stories out there of car selling stories. So that's awesome, Johnny. Yeah, so power tour is always something I've thought of doing. Honestly, there's this like big G body meetup in like Ohio, and I thought that would have been pretty cool to take my Grand Prix to. But I want to like sell it more than anything. So, but power tour would be cool. I think actually the Grand Prix. I mean, I really actually halfway think it's a fairly reliable vehicle. Now I had it out on Thursday, and it stalled. Like when it gets low on fuel, it likes to stall. I don't know exactly what's going on. I don't know if there's a float problem, fuel pressure problem, or what. Like when the gas tank's full, it's really not an issue. But I think it would do power tour. I'm usually kind of a wuss about those things and don't really want to take that risk. But anymore, the way the car culture is in like just social media, like it's been pretty easy to network with some of these bigger people that have better skills than me. Like as long as you roll in the right groups, I think you'd be fine. Yeah, Johnny, that'd be pretty cool. I didn't know you had a G body, so that's good. I think if I remember right, so is it an '86? Is that what you said? I'm trying to like go back through the. No, you didn't say what year it was. But yeah, so anyway, like I said, I'm just going live today just so that the old YouTube algorithm can still look back and figure out the pattern, right? That I'm putting something out on the 8th and the 23rd of the month. I don't know if this really is going to do a whole lot of awesomeness for my channel or not. I mean, it's what I've come to find out, and believe me, 2024 here has been way better than 23 was, but I really do seriously feel like if I'm not putting out a legit piece of long form content once a week, that YouTube doesn't really care. And I mean, it makes it. It's more competitive now. There's more channels than ever. Well, yeah, that's a good point, Gary. You bring up a good point. But no, I mean, YouTube's not the most important thing in my life right now, but I don't want it to die and I don't want it to disappear. So that's what the objective for 2024 was. Okay, it's one of the newer generations of Monte Carlos. Okay, yeah, I was just thinking G body all the way. I kind of forgot about that, the resurgence there. And so were those front wheel drive 3800 cars, if I'm not mistaken? You'll have to let me know. But yeah, I mean, my channel is healthier than it was last year when I was way off. Well, that's cool, Johnny. It sounds like you need to make sure you hold on to that car. it'll be definitely a piece of history. So, but yeah, it's been. Hey Hobbins, what's up? Thanks for popping in. Real casual today. Just like I said, I've been letting people know I'm just going live because I don't have real content to put out. Thought in the 11th hour yesterday morning, uh, I was going to be selling the Grand Prix, and then I brought my camera with me, and I was sort of going to on the fly do an episode and have that ready for today, but it didn't happen. So I already explained kind of the anecdote of what happened there on that falling through, but it's a good sign either way. Like this guy who reached out yesterday and then or Friday and then bailed on me yesterday, or I guess the short story is he thought a bank would loan him money for a 45-year-old nondescript base model car. um, yeah, yeah, but then I got another person reach out today on it. Of course, they didn't. It was the classic on Facebook Marketplace. It was the classic. Is it available? I would reply, yes, it is. And then crickets. So maybe they fat fingered something. Didn't even mean to send that message because that definitely happened to me. I did that once to a seller even this weekend. I was just looking at something, and then later I see they replied to a message in Messenger. I'm like, well, I don't remember ever reaching out to him. But I feel like the car's priced at the right price point if it's getting that much activity here. So I feel pretty good about that. It did force me to. I cleaned out the car and washed it again, and it looks really good. I'm of course sitting right here by it. But and yeah, I drove probably. Let's see, I probably drove it maybe 40 miles. Probably not that much yesterday. So and it's the weather's been beautiful. So didn't hate that. Didn't hate being able to take Grand Prix out again for a drive. Yeah, I feel like I got pretty solid pictures on my ad, Gary. Um, but I don't know, my friction arm is kind of loosening out here, so let me see if I can't. Yeah, you know the ad I actually responded to for the Grand Prix, it literally had one fuzzy picture, and I kept ignoring it for the longest time. And like, yeah, well, I gotta go see this car in person and figure out if it's viable or not. And of course, you know yeah, yeah, it really, Gary, you see some really bad stuff out there on other people's for sale ads. That's for sure. I know I get pretty lengthy in my descriptions, but I figure I just as well just dump everything I possibly can that I know about the car in an ad. If someone wants to read through it or not read through it, that's on them. I think maybe sometimes that turns people around or turns people off. Like, I don't want to read this book, but whatever. Yeah, Drew, that's interesting. How many cars do you pump out or are you selling in a given year? I'm kind of curious to hear that. Because it probably could be worth, someone else doing an ad like that, but there's probably a natural break point of where that makes sense and where it doesn't, I would suspect. Yeah, Johnny, you bring up a good point about definitely makes a difference to who you sell it for sure. Um, in the last week, I think it was probably or a little over a week because it was right going into Labor Day weekend. Um, Somebody bought my old Fairmont. It changed hands, I guess, like 3 times after I sold it, which kind of blows my mind. But this guy bought it in like southern Missouri. I sold it to someone in northwest Arkansas. It eventually made its way to southern Missouri, and then someone from Michigan bought that car. So, And then on like the different Facebook groups or forums that he was on, someone mentioned, "Oh, that's Str8sixfan's old car," and so then that guy got to know the history of my car a little better. In fact, right over my shoulder here, I believe that's the. I promised the guy I'd send back. That's the Ford logo, the letters FORD, letters that were on the front, right above the grill of the car. I was keeping as memento for myself, but since we reconnected, I was like, hey, I'd happily mail it back to him, and he of course wants it. But yeah, Drew, this has been a little different on the Grand Prix. Like when I sold the Fairmont, I definitely had way more activity, and that was 20. Gosh, I think that was 3 years ago. I think that was 21. I think I listed it in like November of 2021 and sold it by February. And yeah, I really figured the G-Bot would get more response, but then, and it's not so much that it was G-Body versus Fox Body, but it was like a little more halfway mainstream G-Body versus way obscure Fox Body, you know, with the Fairmont. I know Fairmonts are popular and have been for a while and still are, but it just still kind of surprises me that the Grand Prix has not had near the inquiries that the Fairmont did years ago. So I don't know. I don't know if we're in the middle of another market shift, and I don't mean like it in the traditional sense, but market shift in the sense of, you know, it used to be Craigslist was king, and then Facebook Marketplace transplanted that. I know Bring a Trailer is a big deal right now. I looked into listing the Grand Prix on Bring a Trailer, but the listing fee was like $50. So I'm like, I don't, I don't know if I really need that. But I wonder if we're almost just in another one of those transitions, as Facebook Marketplace being transplanted by something else or surpassed by something else. Yeah, Johnny, it's hard to beat the Burt Reynolds Course 77 for sure. Trans Am. Uh, that's kind of one of those most iconic cars of all time, really. Yeah, Drew, I've noticed too recently the algorithm or whatever, the search function on Marketplace. I have way more success just straight up going to Marketplace, typing in Crown Victoria as opposed to going to the vehicle section and then typing in like trying to like do the make model year. If I do it through the vehicle section, I feel like I get very limited results. If I just do it from straight up Marketplace and search Crown Victoria, I get like a way better, dense listing of the cars I'm looking for. And I don't get that. This is so weird. Yeah, kind of what you're talking about. It doesn't seem to show me all of the vehicles within my criteria. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's the weirdest thing. And I started noticing that at least this year, because I'd always do those around the turn of the year. I would do those like best project car heading into 2022 episodes, and the most recent, at least this last year, maybe the year before, it was way tougher than it was before. But well, you guys have any questions for me, or hopefully the weather's nice for everybody else. Yeah, the other thing I learned on Facebook Marketplace, Gary, recently was I swore I saw other people putting like services up, local service ads, and I was trying to offer like to do a side gig, side hustle for a bit on some welding, and Craigslist now is a $5. It's $5 to list your ad, which isn't horrible. The bad thing is it's only for 30 days, so I don't know. That seems kind of annoying. Like I don't know, 60 days seems better. Five. It's just almost like, and it doesn't give a good notification of when it expires. So anyway, I tried to put a welding ad up on Marketplace, and then it told me you can't do that. That's against the rules. So like, okay, I didn't realize that. Um, and then, like I said, did a Craigslist ad. Yeah, Drew. I mean, I think we're almost there, right? Like, what's the next Auto Trader, right? Is that what that was way back in the day? The magazine you'd pick up at the truck stop. What was that? Maybe I got that wrong. It's kind of bugging me. I don't remember what the heck that publication was. Oh, Deals on Wheels. That's what it was. I was thinking of the Deals on Wheels classifieds. Like, what's the... Oh, Old Car Trader. I think maybe that's what I was thinking of. But yeah, let's figure out what the... Hey, Pete, what's up? Pete's license plate is right there. So, good to see you, Pete. Yeah, I just thought I'd take a minute to do a live. I was really thinking I was going to have... I was debating back and forth between... I have a hood hinge for the Grand Prix, so that to replace it. And actually, Pete, that came from Chad. Chad shipped me one of those. So I was either going to do that, or I was going to put the Mikuni knockoff carb on my 5-horse Briggs and Stratton for my Rat Rod Radio Flyer project. But yeah, work's just been crazy, and I honestly just didn't have the time to get to either of those. Yeah, Johnny, I don't know what it is. Like, I would love to have a Pinto in some capacity someday, some year, at some point in time. I think they'd make a pretty cool project. But for whatever reason, I think I don't like the Pinto wagon. I just like the normal hatch, and I don't know why it is. Like, I'm weird enough to like a Pinto in general, but say hell no to the wagon. I personally don't even get it, and I couldn't tell you why. Yeah, it's pretty cool to see, I mean, both ways, right? When somebody builds a custom car, and Hot Wheels now has like one of those car shows and a build-off specifically for it. Like, you build a car and they decide if they're going to make a Hot Wheel out of your car. And then also the reverse, when maybe it was the Hot Wheel first and then somebody creates a real car version of that. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, Gary, now you got me thinking, like, how would I explain why do I want to build a Pinto? Well, I'll say this much. Like, some of the front fascias, the grills kind of are Maverick-esque, and there's some good body lines. I think also, like, as time has gone on, yeah, I didn't live through it, of course, but I can see why you'd make fun of them and they'd be a brunt of the joke, but as, like, time went on and then the Asian cars of the 80s and 90s became a thing, I always kind of wanted to do like and I love resto mods and pro touring style cars. There you go, Pete. I just thought it would be kind of fun to make an American resto mod version of what everything that the Japanese car craze got wrong, right? Like, it's rear-wheel drive, not front-wheel drive, but it could still be a cool, fun, like, autocross, like, I think you kind of make it look JDM tuner style, but what's the American version of that? What's the American, like, big horsepower but nimble suspension? And then that's the other part of it too, right? The Mustang 2 suspension, which everybody was sort of revolutionary. It's the same suspension on a Pinto. So I think the Pinto just has these core things about it that really, when you stop and think about it, it's the Mustang 2 suspension. And then Joe Morgan, that famous story from Hot Rod Magazine from like 2001-ish, he built one of those turbo 2.3 liter motors and like ran 12s for like next to no bucks and got 30 miles to the gallon. So I always thought that was cool, but yeah, I thought I heard on the Pinto thing, like I know the whole story of the drop-in gas tank and if it got rear-ended and there was nothing really to protect, there's no firewall or anything, there's nothing to protect anybody. They were known for fires, but what I have heard all these years later is that it was one of those classic instances of it was sensationalized by the media, that when you really stop and look at the numbers for like how many times that type of accident actually happened compared to how many they produced, it really is like, it really was not as widely spread as everybody has this impression of, because it was just sensationalized by the media. But I don't know. The person who told me that I believe is a credible source, but you know, I haven't stopped to look at it for myself and really yeah, 2J. I assume Johnny, you're meaning to say 2JZ, inline 6, 3 liter. But yeah, that would be pretty crazy. There's a guy on the internet or Instagram who has a 2JZ swapped Ford Fairmont wagon, and it's pretty cool. And yeah, it gets definitely gets a lot of questions. There was a guy who 2JZ swapped a 1970 Chevelle. Now that I'm all for, because I'm just as the guy who's used to seeing people swap Chevy motors into a Ford. I just love to see the shoe on the other foot and see someone like really upset a Chevy person by swapping something, you know. I think someone once upon a time did like a shoot, what's the, not a Hellcat, but one of the crazy new Dodge Hemis, not quite to the Hellcat level, whatever the maybe a deep, I don't know. They have so many of them, but they swapped one of those into a G body. It may have been a Grand National if I remember right, but it was either a Monte Carlo or a Grand National. No, the current 2.3 liter is not the same as the one before. So the one from the Pinto era through the Lima, Ford Lima 2.3 liter, I think that was the same motor, like basically from whatever the Pinto era is, so maybe 1970 even. I don't know if the earliest Pintos, 72, 73 maybe, all the way up to like 90, I would probably say 97, like the Ford Rangers still were running those. Cast iron blocks, single overhead cam. Then you move into the Duratec era, was the next era, so maybe 98 to like 2010 maybe. Those would be that'd be like the Duratec era, like the Mazda 3 had it. I had one of those. I think they may be dual overhead cams in the I don't know that, but I also believe I know they're not cast iron blocks anymore. Those might be aluminum, and then the new EcoBoost is a whole nother generation. So there's like at least 3 different generations of 2.3 liter inline 4s. Yeah, I'm with you, Johnny. Like I mean, you know, offbeat hot rodding, what my channel's all about. I like doing things different, but there's, in my opinion, there's a fine line to walk between different and like, if you're not building it for keeps, which I'm not a lot of times, like, you got to be really creative with like what the different is, because it still has to be sort of appealing to a wide spectrum of people so you could actually sell the car. But like, I'd love to 4200 inline 6 swap this Grand Prix if I was keeping it for a while. But Chris, welcome in. Thanks for joining. You may be half of the crowd right now. I think some people are losing internet connection because I see a good regular crowd in here, but I see the little icon going up and down. Yeah, Johnny, that's pretty cool. But I also, the world, I don't know, maybe this is the bitter Ford guy in me, but it's just, you know, all the way up until like the mid 2000s, it was everybody put a 350 Chevy and everything, and then now it's an LS and everything, which most people misuse the LS term. Like, they talk about putting a 5.3 liter out of a truck. into something and they say they LS swapped it. Technically, they're not LS swapping that. It's a different engine code. They're like, I don't L86s or something. Like, they're not technically an LS, but there's a lot of the what's the word I'm looking for? Inherent properties that are common between those two. Yeah, I mean, they still did slap the Vortec on it, Drew, but like, I'm talking about like the manufacturer's like engine code. So when you, like, on a build sheet, they actually have a specific like L83 or something. Um, I just, now everybody LS swaps the world, but there's actually a little variety there. LS1, LS2, like LS1s are probably some of the most rare. From like the C5 Corvette, and then the last of the Gen 4 Camaro and Firebirds. Yeah, there you go, Drew. Yeah. They technically didn't LS swap it; they LQ9 swapped something, but. Well, I think so, Gary. What I mean is, yeah, sure, modern era pushrod V8, but probably the inherent properties are like the way the main caps are, the aluminum block. Although some of those truck motors were cast iron blocks, but the head design as well. BR549 swap it. Exactly. I don't even know what that is, but let's just do that. Let's just BR594 swap it for 549. List Dexia, swap it. Swap the Lexia with the Dis. But, Well, I think I'll probably shut it down. Thanks for joining me, everybody. I know, again, I don't know how entertaining this was for you guys. Just, these are always hard to just talk on your own. But like I said, I just wanted to make sure I could still keep my streak alive here for 2024, and making sure that something went up on my channel on the 8th or the 23rd. And so here we are. We did it. Hopefully, welcome to Swap Chat. Hopefully, coming up soon, we'll have some good long form content for the 23rd. I guess I can probably do the hood hinge repair on the Grand Prix now, since I didn't sell it this weekend like I thought I was going to. Yeah, don't get me wrong, like, I get why everybody LS swaps everything. They're plentiful, they're cheap, and they have high horsepower potential. So I'm not gonna fault anyone for that. But so, all right, well, we'll close it down, and thanks again for popping in. Yeah, Pete. Well, hopefully we. I think we're still on schedule for early October, but we'll get something going for the podcast, and you guys should know about it before too long. So, with that, I guess now I got to figure out how to shut this down in this thing, and